Okay, it's just taking a while. And we are live. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the SoBackSports podcast. And today we have a special guest with us. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Rashad from the Windy City Productions. I run a YouTube channel with the Chicago Bears. I've been running it for 6 years now, and I do highlight reels, reaction videos, and just general just discussion about the Chicago Bears. Which it's not been the most fun thing in the world for the past 5 or 6 years, but we're still Bears fans, so we support the team as best as we can.
Of course, of course. I mean, I guess we can kind of just go into our instant reactions, I mean, we've already saw at this point like the amount of mass media regarding the Bears for the past couple of weeks, and it just seems to keep getting worse and worse. Um, yeah, do you wanna start it off?
Yeah, so it's been a rough couple days. Rough couple weeks honestly for Bears fans with especially after the last loss where it just feels like everything's boiling over now, like all the frustrations on this team. All the fan base frustrations are all coming out, and it's because we're just losing these games in manners in which we should not be losing them, right? Like if we got blown out against the Packers, I feel like it would hurt a lot less than what actually happened on Sunday, because we had a chance to win that game. And like just again, because of some stupid coaching decisions, I feel like we lost that game. And you could say Cairo has to make that field goal. The blocking has to be better on that, which it probably does, right? Like a 46-yard field goal most of the time should be made, but Eberflus had the chance to get that to be a little bit closer. He had like 30 seconds left on the clock or whatever it was, and like had a timeout, and he did not even decide to go a little bit closer. So I think that, excuse me, that decision was very bad. I'm also on the prior drive. There was a 4th and 4, I believe, or 4th and 3, whatever it was, which we could have went for that to really, push the Packers and potentially just win the game right there. I think any aggressive coach would have went for it. I know Dan Campbell definitely would have went for that, but we don't have a Dan Campbell. We have a Matt Eberflus, who is, a coach that coaches not to lose instead of coaching to win. So I think those decisions really got Bears fans mad. And then obviously, the last couple of weeks, like the Hail Mary, that was really the straw that broke the camel's back. And it just seemed like this team is just spiraling out of control right now. So it's been pretty rough.
Yeah. You want to talk, Ankit?
Yeah. So I actually agree with you. I think like Eberflus is like game time decisions, like crucial. Like when it comes to the clutch, he's like really, really bad. There's actually a stat that I think he has like a 22% win percentage when the game is one score, like decided with one score, which is crazy. And like the second, he's dead last in the league. I think the second one is Zach Taylor, and he's like 39% at that. So I think that's crazy. Like when I saw it. But yeah, I'm like really frustrated with Matt Eberflus because like the fact that we, kept him after like all the bad that's happened with the team. Like I get it. Like last year, we ended the season like what 5-2, but we have to look at like the comp that we played. Like we didn't play insane competition. I guess the best victory was the Lions, but he also did blow a game against the Lions too. And I see a pattern where like he's not very good when it comes to the clutch, and we kind of need a coach that can deliver like during the clutch and make game time decisions. And I thought like yesterday when you saw Caleb Williams I think it was the drive where it was like 4th and 2, and like he completed that pass to Roshan, but before Matt Eberflus wanted to kick a field goal, and it's just crazy. Like you have to be aggressive, right? Like we're 4-5 at that time. Like we had to fight to beat the Packers because we haven't done that in so long. So, I think, like you said, he doesn't play to win. He plays to not lose. And it's crazy. And I'm so sick and tired of Matt Eberflus being our coach. And I really want us to fire him, but, the McCaskey is just happy to never fire a coach. I had that thing where like we never fire a head coach during the mid season, which is just crazy to me. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Eberflus has just been terrible this season.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is, like, the fact that you both like mentioned Eberflus as the main culprit, and I feel like most of our losses, like that we have accumulated, really comes on the back of like Matt Eberflus's inability to, you know, call a good game near like after the 2 minute mark, and when it matters the most is what really frustrates me because you expect, like, say you're winning the game, right? And something bad's about to happen, whether it's like last year, even with last year, like, yes, you can say the quarterback wasn't clutch or anything like that, but that something coaching wise is gonna be like come to fruition. It's gonna like be like, oh, why did we do that? Like, why is he like, not being aggressive here or going for it on fourth down? And going into the off season, when you had options like Jim Harbaugh, and like, there were a lot of coordinators besides Shane Waldron that were available that could be your head coach, that could get a staff. And the one thing I will, I guess, thank Shane Waldron for, which, believe me, I have a little amount to thank this dude, but is that I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he was the one that brought on Thomas Brown to his staff when we were like, going through the whole process. So at least we have one person on our staff that actually can call a good game when it comes to, unlocking Caleb Williams' um, abilities. And we've seen that because what's crazy, at least to me, is that we've kind of like reverted back and forth from what worked and what didn't. Because the first 2 weeks, once against like the Titans, the Texans, it all worked well. Like, sorry, it all worked terribly because we were just like, why are we calling these plays? And then we opened up the playbook when it came to the Jaguars and was it the Panthers? I forgot the third team there, but and then Caleb looked like a stud. Oh, the Rams too, with those like behind the back, like over the back throws to DJ Moore to the end zone, utilizing Keenan Allen properly, Cole Kmet properly. Like, you see those things work, and you start to question, why isn't Shane Waldron, or like, why wasn't he calling that after the bye week? And the stuff coming out about how he doesn't coach that hard, he's too much of a nice guy, like that just shows you like, okay, wait, then if that's the case and if the players feel that way, why wasn't there a change early on? And the more you delay it, the more like you lose the season, which, to be fair, you can make the argument that the season's almost at the point where we can't even make the playoffs unless something miraculous happens and we go on like a massive winning streak. But I guess that kind of just leads into our next topic or kind of discussion, whereas like, how sold are you on Thomas Brown? Because listen, he had a hell of a game against the Green Bay Packers, and he called a great game, showed emotion in the booth. But do you need to see a little bit more from him? Do you need to see like back-to-back games for him to be like a potential candidate for the offensive coordinator or even a head coaching job?
Yeah, we'd have to see a lot more, I would say, because in the past we've seen, teams fire their coaches in the very next game. The coach does very well, the team does very well, they score a lot of points, the team wins, but doesn't always translate for the rest of the season. So even though I liked a lot of what I saw out of him, I need to see at least, 3, 4, 5 games of like good offensive production, I would say. And not even just production, but like good play calling. Like if he's at least calling good plays, if guys are getting open, and guys are just not executing sometimes, like I'd be okay with that. But like with Shane Waldron, it was like very clear he just was not calling good plays to get guys open. Like you saw in film, like there were many times where Caleb had basically nobody open down the field, and all these routes that were just long developing, no quick option for Caleb to go to. So I'm a big fan of what Thomas Brown did in game one. I think that his energy, like you mentioned, is a big positive to this team that currently, a lot of the guys like don't have the energy, right? Like, some guys like, DJ Moore sometimes has like, sometimes bad body language. It seems like guys are just not as pumped up this season as they have been in prior seasons. So getting a guy like Thomas Brown in there to really motivate everybody and push everybody to be the best they can be, I think that's going to be a big boost no matter what happens at the end of the season. Like we still have to try to develop Caleb and, get him to have decent stats at the end of this year. Like, I think he's still on pace for 3,500 passing yards. He hasn't scored a passing touchdown in like a long time, in a month, but he also doesn't have any interceptions either. So, I really hope that in future games, Thomas Brown will allow Caleb to be a little bit more aggressive with the football, because in some ways I feel like it's kind of a negative that Caleb has not thrown picks the last month, because picks help you learn, right? Like, especially as a rookie in a lost season, you want your quarterback to be attempting those deep passes, those like tight window passes to see what he can get away with, and kind of, like a Mahomes or like a Josh Allen, like see which passes he's actually capable of doing. And right now he's not really been doing that. Now, last game he did attempt some of those passes and he hit on a lot of them too. So yeah, I mean, overall, like, I like Thomas Brown. I think it's way too early to talk about him being like a potential head coach, because I still want a more proven guy like a Ben Johnson, like, whoever else is out there, But if he keeps this up, then for sure I could see him as being a potential OC or maybe even head coach if Caleb performs, very well down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, like it's it's just a breath of fresh air, in a sense, because after what we have been through with the Hail Mary and the bad play calling, utilizing Doug Kramer in the end zone, you know, just a couple of mishaps that have been happening. It's just like it's nice to have a clean game, and especially like against a great defense. Like the Packers are no like joke in terms of their defense this year, and like to not only create like some good passes and some good options for Caleb going into the game, but also like have a chance at winning the game with a game-winning drive, which I'll get to that in a bit. But it was really nice, and thankfully, at least in a sense, it's a step like in the rest of the season. We can kind of hope that there's some improvement with the play calling, the more aggressiveness of it, and it kind of like shows as well like how great Caleb is as a passer, because you may think that or people may think that his deep ball isn't that great or is not very accurate whatsoever. But when it comes to the mid passing game and the short game, when it comes to like even with a pocket collapsing, like he could still utilize his legs and also use the check down and get those like zips on those short yardage situations that rookies tend to not develop for a while. And the fact that he's doing that already is a great sign. And got to give credit to Thomas Brown for what he did. And I'm really looking forward to the next game in a sense, because it's like I just want to see if he can repeat that going into it. Do you have any thoughts, Ankit?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think I really like what I saw with Thomas Brown. Like he got the ball out of Caleb Williams' hands really quick. I like that. I like the decision making from Caleb, and I liked how he's simple. He made the game way more simple for Caleb. We're seeing that with Washington and Denver with Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels, right? They're making the offense a lot easier for the rookie quarterback, and I feel like with Shane Waldron, he made the offense way more complicated for Caleb Williams, and a lot of his receivers weren't open like you mentioned. So I really liked it. I agree. I think we need to see more from Thomas Brown. Like obviously, like one game is not gonna define who he is as an offensive coordinator, but I definitely think that he gave Caleb Williams a chance to succeed in this game, and I was very, very impressed. I really didn't expect him to go have a complete offense. Like I really can't pinpoint a play that was really, really bad. Like maybe there was maybe one or two that I maybe missed, but I really liked him a lot. I definitely hope that he's really good enough so that he can maybe be our OC next year, but we'll see. That's a long time from now, but I'm just excited for Caleb Williams' development. I really don't care after this game. I really don't care if we win another game. I just want to see him develop and improve, because I feel like this year, we all had hopes that we were going to make the playoffs, but I mean, let's be honest, that's not happening with our division. How good the NFC become, it's not happening. So I want to see him develop, become a really, really good passer, maybe improve the deep ball. Like you said, I want him to throw interceptions, because even in USC, he threw a lot of interceptions here and there. That's the only way he's going to learn, right? I mean, Bo Nix threw a lot of interceptions, and now look what he is. He's playing better. I want him to take the shots down the field, become a better deep ball passer, and he's only going to learn that if you're going to let him take shots down the field, right? So I'm fine with that. If he throws picks, whatever. We're not winning. We're not winning every game. We're not winning any of these games. We have like the toughest schedule left, and I don't know. I'm open to tanking. I mean, I really am, because what we really need is an offensive line, and I really want Calvin Banks, man. I really, really want him, but I'm fine with losing games if that means Caleb Williams is going to develop and we just focus on Caleb, because that's what we should be focusing on, getting a franchise quarterback for the first time in forever.
Yeah, I mean, you see, we're already at the point where we're looking at mock drafts and, what's new at this point in the time of season. But, that's completely fair. And I guess this kind of goes to the point made right here where it's like, got to fix the foundation of the house before thinking about anything else. But I think the foundation really lies on obviously your ownership and your front office. And while Ryan Poles has done a lot of great for this team, like I've been a very huge advocate for Ryan Poles and what he's done, even with the misses, what like the Chase Claypool, the Nate Davises and like all that. It's got to the point where, do we have to now talk about his misses in like a big sense, or like through a microscope, because like the hiring or the coaching hiring is what's really stunting this team. We can kind of like talk about how his ability to create a roster, a roster is really good. That's without a doubt. But the inattention to the offensive line and the head coaching, like not even thinking about changing a coaches, is kind of like, back then it seemed like, okay, like I guess we'll trust you with this, but clearly right now it seems like it's blown up in our face. So I just want to get your thoughts on, like, if Flus goes at the end of the season, which is what's looking like to be, do you think that Ryan Poles should go as well? Because I think that's a thing that's been kind of circulating around.
Yeah, I think if we lose every single game, he's probably gonna go. So that's why I'm kind of hoping we win some games, because just like you, like I'm still somewhat of a fan of Ryan Poles, even though I know like he's not, for some reason he's so attached to Matt Eberflus, which is gonna be his downfall potentially. It doesn't make any sense why he's so attached to this guy. But aside from that and the offensive line issues, like I feel like he's done so much good for this franchise long term in terms of managing the cap, in terms of acquiring draft resources, in terms of like drafting young talent. And I'm just worried if we fire Ryan Poles, what if we get a much worse GM? Because there's much worse GMs that are possibly out there, So I still want Ryan Poles to stay here, at least for the time being, but we're going to have to win some games for that to happen, right? Like if we finish at, what would it be, 4-13 or whatever, like I don't think he's staying. Because at that point, Kevin Warren's going to look at the record. He's going to be like, yeah, you've regressed in every area, even with the tough schedule. Like, I don't think that would be an excuse. So, I think if we finish at maybe 7 wins or like 6 wins, maybe 7, I think Ryan Poles does have a chance of staying. And, me personally, I think I would keep him, even though, like you guys mentioned, like he's made some mistakes, some major misses, and the hiring decisions have been terrible without a doubt. But I just feel like the roster he has assembled is too good for what the record currently is. Like we should very easily have 7 wins right now, or at least 6 wins at the very least, right? So, we have Caleb Williams, we have Roma Dunza, we have a lot of young talent on this team that Ryan Poles acquired. So I'm just worried if we have a new GM, like is that new GM going to want his own guys in there, like his own quarterback? Well, probably not quarterback because Caleb just got here, but like I'm just worried the new GM might try to change things a little bit too much, even when I feel like this roster is, ready to win now. And it's going to be definitely ready to win now after this upcoming offseason. So, yeah, me personally, I would not fire him at this point in time, but I can understand why people want to fire him because he's been too attached to Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I like what Ryan Poles has done. Obviously, like, the Panthers trade, best trade in maybe in NFL history, maybe. Like, we got to see how good Caleb is, but I think I actually disagree with you guys. I think Ryan Poles has to go. Like, if Eberflus is gone, he has to go, because I'm just tired of like the Bears doing everything like in reverse order. And another thing is like I feel like his attachment to Eberflus, right, like you said, is going to be his downfall. And another thing is, I think his offensive line, like I think that he never really focused on the offensive line, and he settled for backups during the free agency. Like when I looked at free agency, I don't think he went aggressive during free agency, and I wish he did, because you saw the Commanders, right? In free agency, they went crazy, like they did, and it's really helped Jaden Daniels. They made their offensive line better, and they hired a competent coach that knows how to win. He might have choked in the Super Bowl, but he knows how to win, and he'll win you games. And I really like the hire of Cliff Kingsbury too. I feel like really what's really important for a rookie quarterback is not like all the weapons he has. It's the coaching and its offensive line. And I feel like Ryan Poles missed on both of them because, like you said before, Jim Harbaugh was available. Like Bill Belichick, yeah, it might have not worked, but Bill Belichick, Mike Vrabel, there were so many coaching opportunities, and you turned down all of them to keep Matt Eberflus. And I just didn't understand why. Like, he didn't really prove anything last year. Like he honestly proved that he was not competent of a coach last year because he blew three leads. And you could say, yeah, that's on Justin Fields. Like, he fumbled, like he wasn't clutch, and I could agree with you there. But I feel like Ryan Poles has had 3 years to make this team better, and with the hype and all like the surrounding pieces, the trade and everything that worked out for him, the fact that he never addressed the offensive line, and the fact that he kept Matt Eberflus, and the fact that the teams regressed time and time again, even last year, like we started the season 0-4. Like, I know our team wasn't supposed to like win a lot of games last year. Like, I thought we'd be like maybe 9-8. We underperformed. We're like 7-10 last year, and it took our schedule of bad teams. And also, mind you, we have the third. Like, going to the season, we had the third easiest schedule in the National Football League. Like, I thought we were supposed to win at least 10 games. And the fact that we're thinking about tanking now, which I think is the right move, because I want the best offensive tackle, like, in the draft, because that's what we need. It's crazy. I think if Eberflus goes, Poles goes, and you have to clean house and start fresh with a new regime, I just think that's the right decision. I don't think Ryan Poles has done enough to say, okay, we trust you. We trust you in the process of getting a new coach. We trust you of getting a new coordinator. Like, I don't have that trust anymore with Ryan Poles. Just the sole reason that he kept Matt Eberflus with all the coaching options that were available.
Yeah, that's fair, but I think that to Rishabh's point, like that means you're kind of like if you're getting a new GM, you're kind of like at the risk of potentially having to start over if the GM has a different philosophy than the last, right? So I guess that's a little bit of something to consider. But I think that I feel like Poles in general, like, he's done a lot of good, and I think they're probably going to keep him. Like, at least that's my initial thinking. But I think this is going to be the last time, or like the last straw, where he has to get the coaching hire correct. Like, depending on how the season ends, or let's say we finish with 7 wins, right? And we have a decent spot in the tank, like in the order, the draft order. So at that point, you have to like really look into the trenches, and that is your D line and your O line, and that's what's been the Achilles heel for the Chicago Bears the last couple of years, is because while we did get Montez Sweat in free agency or by the trade deadline, that's only like a band-aid for a wound essentially. But I will agree that there are good pieces on that D line, but it's still not the most perfect product out there. I
agree with you. Like, and also I see this comment from Lucas Pritz. He says, but if a GM fails to fix an O-line, which is pivotal to the success of a rookie quarterback, how could he possibly be considered a success at his job? Like, my point, I feel like he got like the pieces around Caleb, right? The wide receiver, like he got like, if you look at a house, right? He didn't get the foundation right. He got like all like the upstairs, the living, like the furnishing and all that stuff, right? But he didn't get like the coaching and the the offensive line, right? That's my whole thing, right? Like, do we really like? I'm being so serious. If we go like, you guys are saying 7 wins, I don't see 7 wins. Like, I just don't. With this coaching staff, I don't see us beating the Lions. I think we're getting swept by them. I think maybe we could pull off a victory against the Vikings, maybe, because they have Sam Darnold, maybe. But the 49ers, we got to play them, the Seahawks, like, and the Packers again, like in Lambeau. It's like, I don't see us winning that, like, most of those games. I feel like we're underdogs in every one of those games. And I just don't think that if he goes from 5, like he started off 3-14, we're not putting that against Ryan Poles. There's a lot of bad that Ryan Pace did. He had to fix it. Okay, that's cool. Then the next offseason, he drafts Darnold Wright, great pick, right? And then he gives Justin Fields another year. He gets DJ Moore. Okay, I like that. I like that you give Justin Fields a chance to be the franchise quarterback. Okay, that's cool, right? Then, okay, you decide not to keep Justin Fields, which, okay, that's fine. Everybody thought that's the right choice. I think it's still the right choice. You draft Caleb Williams, but you didn't fire You didn't fire Matt Eberflus. You got a new quarterback, but you kept the coach, which didn't make sense, right? I don't know. I just don't think that I trust Ryan Poles to make a right choice in like a right choice when it comes to coach. And I don't think he has what it takes to, I don't know, develop an O-line. I mean, if he had, he would have done it already. And another thing, you're talking about the D-line. I feel like there was so many good edge rushers in this draft. And I also thought that there was so many edge rushers during free agency that he could have taken. Like, I was so mad he didn't go for Danielle Hunter, or like there was Hassan Reddick was available. Like, there was so many good edge rushers that you needed an edge rusher, because now Montez Sweat, his numbers are terrible now because he has nobody for him to help with. He's getting double teamed every time. No, like the Bears have the last 3 games, we've only recorded 3 sacks, which is not good. Like, we're not getting pressure because we don't have another edge rusher, and he didn't even do anything with that. Even in the draft, like Austin Booker, we'll see how good he is, but he's a 5th round pick. Like, I don't know if he's going to develop into a superstar. So the fact that he didn't address the edge rusher position, the D line, and the O line, which are the foundations of both your defense and your offense, and the coaching staff, to let Caleb set him up for success, it's just crazy to me. I don't think he deserves to stay. But hey, if he somehow pulls like a 7-10, 8-9, which I don't see happening, maybe we keep him. But at the way the Bears are playing, there's no way we win 3 more games this season, or even 2 games this season. I just don't see it.
It's kind of ironic. I was gonna say it's kind of ironic. Both Poles and Ian Cunningham were former offensive linemen, and they have not been able to figure out the offensive line. Like, what the heck, guys? I mean, I feel like they've tried to invest a little bit. I mean, well, not really though, right? Like, Nate Davis was the only big contract they handed out, and like our offensive line is like I think bottom 3 lowest paid in the NFL. Like, we're not really paying anybody on this offensive line. So yeah, to your point, like, I just don't know why he didn't make more investments in the offensive line when he knew like O-line is the biggest thing for a young quarterback. So yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's just frustrating because, like, going into the season, I think, with the Hard Knocks, all, like, buying into the aura Flus has with his beard, like, we all, me personally, I fell for it. I got red-handed, got caught. It's just, I feel like every single year so far, ever since the year where we went 3-14, like, it just was like hype in the offseason. We won the offseason. We made all these moves. We made like all these trades and whatnot, right? All for it to come crashing down because of the internal like disputes when it comes to like your culture, your head coaching and coaching staff. Like, the fact that Eberflus has had 8 different staff members fired or released within his like time as a Chicago Bear, and he's not the one that's gone, speaks volumes to what this organization and the front office and even to the ownership level like think about this organization. Like, every year fans pay money to go see or to see a product that they deem to be like complete, but because of all the hype, we tend to forget all of the the necessary building blocks that are still need to be addressed, like the offensive line, D line, and and even you could even say the offensive staff. And it just every year it's just the same thing. And I guess when we were 4-2 at the beginning, instead of being 0-4 and having the pain happen in the front loading the pain in the beginning of the season, it's now in like middle and near the end. So they did something in a sense where we actually were competitive, and people used graphics saying like, the Bears, all the teams in the NFC North are great, and this is the best division in football. Well, that didn't really age well now, huh? Because now we're back to square one, where we are back to, what are we going to be looking at the draft, or, can Caleb really develop under this staff or under this system? That's my worry, because it's like, I really hope it's consistently better with Thomas Brown, because if all is said and done this season, I just want Caleb to be like developed. I think that's the main point of his rookie season. I want him to break at least the record, like for at least like the touchdowns and the passing yard, which, like what you said, he's going to be like able to do so in a couple of games if he, beats, or if he has the trajectory. And is just that's all I hope at this point. And wins will only help his confidence. And the fact of the matter is, we snatched 2 wins away from him, which he did everything he possibly could. And I guess this kind of leads to the next question. It's like, the idea of Chicago Bears can develop a quarterback. Do you think that the third time is a charm, where we fire a lame duck head coach, but we nail the hire? Say we do nail the hire, or like get a decent head coach. Like, do you think that there's still a opportunity for Caleb to, learn a new system, and be the franchise quarterback?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Caleb is the most talented quarterback we've ever had. So I think that's a big reason why I feel like he's still going to be okay, because even with this poor coaching staff, he's still on pace to have actually the 5th best season passing for a Bears quarterback in history. Like, he's on pace for 3,500 passing yards still, which I looked it up. That would be the 5th best season in Bears quarterback history. It just goes to show you how bad the quarterback history is, obviously. But like, he's still succeeding and still doing things, with this coaching staff, that I feel like with a better coaching staff are going to be amplified. So if we get like a Ben Johnson, that's the absolute dream. If we get a Ben Johnson, I think Bears are back immediately. Like, I'm predicting, maybe 11, 12 wins next year if we get a Ben Johnson, but whoever, if it's a better offensive coach, a guy that can scheme up plays better, relate to the quarterback a little bit better, there's 100%, the chance that Caleb is going to be a very good quarterback for the Chicago Bears, because, like I mentioned, he is the most talented quarterback we've ever had. And it seems like he's not letting the bad coaching really affect him that much. I know there's been some bad games, but he bounced back very well against a really good Packers defense, on Sunday. And, like you said, if Thomas Brown ends up being a pretty good OC, that's all we really need. Like, we don't care about the results of the game. We don't care if we win any game really the rest of the season. But if he keeps on developing, if he keeps on having 220, 250 yard passing performances against really good defenses, being better against a blitz. Last game against the Packers, he was really good against a blitz, which is something he really struggled at earlier on in the season. So it's like, if you keep on seeing that growth, that's all I really need to see out of Caleb to think that he's going to be the franchise quarterback of the Bears. Now, they do have to nail this hire this time, because if they don't nail this hire, Caleb is also going to be ruined like every other quarterback we have had. So it is a little bit scary that, again, it's a Bears organization making this hire. And like you mentioned, like, Ryan Poles has struck out in this hire multiple times now. So that does scare me if, Poles is making that decision, if it's going to be the right one. But I feel like there are going to be so many top candidates available this year that are going to want to line up to coach Caleb because of how talented he is, that we should be getting the top option, most likely. Now, it is the Chicago Bears, so anything can happen. But like, I really feel like Ben Johnson, for example, would want to come here to coach Caleb, because first of all, it's so close to Detroit. Like, his family is not going to have to move that far. And also because Caleb can actually be his quarterback for the next 10, 15 years. So yeah, I'm still pretty optimistic about Caleb, I'd say.
I just wanted to throw out some names. Like, listen, the McCaskies are very known, or like at least the front office is known to be very cheap. But, if we don't get a Ben Johnson, let's say Ben Johnson is just like too high of a price for their, and what is your like next? Do you know or have like a list of options that you would think that would come to mind to be our head coach? Because like Caleb has mentioned it a couple of times, especially in his last press conference with about him talking with Lincoln Riley. Obviously that's like a big like jump from going from the collegiate level to the NFL level coaching standpoint, because we've seen a lot of coaches that take that jump and completely bomb being a head coach in the NFL. Or I forgot what the other one, like, or even going for like a coordinator like Bobby Slowick or someone from like the Houston Texans. Like, do you have any other like coaching candidates that say, let's say Ben Johnson doesn't work out? Do you think there's any other options?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I haven't looked into it as much, so I'd have to do more research. But Cliff Kingsbury also could be an option. I'm not sure if I'd be the biggest fan of that because I still feel like Cliff Kingsbury has some, downfalls as a coach potentially, where like his teams always start out hot and they tank their second half of the season. That's kind of happening to the Commanders right now. Like they haven't won a game against a good team the entire season. Actually, like their record against above 500 opponents is like not that good. So, but regardless, like Cliff Kingsbury is doing really good things with Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is probably going to win Rookie of the Year. So to get a quarterback that already has experience working with Caleb, to be the head coach, I think would be pretty cool. And Cliff is probably not going to be crazy high paid because he failed as head coach with the Cardinals, and like he's only an OC right now that doing well right now. But that could be one option. Bobby Slowick, I do like a lot. I thought he was going to get hired last year, doing really good things with CJ Stroud. Although the Texans offense has been worse this year for the most part, but I still feel like, with better weapons, with with a quarterback like Caleb, he could do a lot of good things. And, besides him, I would have to look into who else is really, available. But Bo Nix, Rookie of the Year, that could happen too. But yeah, I mean, honestly, any, OC from the Shanahan tree, it seems like is working right now. Like most of the top head coaches were OCs from the Shanahan tree. We just have hired the wrong ones for coordinator, apparently, for whatever reason. So, yeah, like a top OC should be the option. Like, I don't want a defensive minded head coach no matter what the second time around, even if it is a top mind, just because I feel like in today's NFL, you need that, offensive mind to really mentor a young quarterback. And usually at the end of the season, it's always like OC or offensive minded head coach versus offensive minded head coach. There's very few exceptions. Like Bill Belichick is one of the only exceptions, and he had Tom Brady. So, we should really be going after an offensive mind, I would say.
What about Mike Vrabel? Like he's an option.
Yeah, that's tough because I'm a big Mike Vrabel fan. So like I think he would be the only guy I would be okay with going for a defensive minded guy, but I'm not sure the McCaskies would like him because I'm not sure if you guys have like read, but like, apparently he like scared some people like in the NFL. Like that's why he didn't get hired as head coach, because he was too bold and like too aggressive with people or whatever. Like I just think the McCaskies are not going to want to go for that type of personality. That's why they didn't hire Jim Harbaugh. Like even though I feel like we're criticizing Poles for that, I don't even think that was only a Poles decision. I think that was more of like a McCaskey decision where they don't want to give all this money, all this control to a proven head coach like Jim Harbaugh. Like it would have been so nice if we actually got him, but the McCaskies are not that type of owner that's going to be willing to spend and give up that much power. So as much as I would love Vrabel, I don't think he's a like realistic option, I would say, for the Bears.
Yeah. I mean,
that's kind of. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You go. No, you go.
Okay. So that's kind of the reason, because because I understand Jim Harbaugh, like 100% get it, but just the fact of that kind of annoyed me was that they didn't consider it, which I guess that kind of explains it. But my thing is, if we consider Ben Johnson, I'm just worried that, because for us, like as an organization, we need to change it up like completely with how we do things, because if it's not working, why are we continuously doing the same thing to expecting a different outcome? That's just literally the definition of insanity. And I just think that with a potential coach in Ben Johnson, how much like control would he ask? Because I feel like he would want a lot of say with how the offensive line like functions, because that's what is the bread and butter of how his offense works. Because he will be able to utilize his wide receivers and his like weapons, but a great offensive line is what's going to be like expected from him, and he will have a lot of say when it comes to the draft or free agency. And they probably will have to break the bank a little bit more than we are used to, because he expects a lot in order for this offense to be like fully great. That's the only thing that I'm kind of like, maybe that's why they're not going to go for Ben Johnson. I really hope I'm wrong, because Ben Johnson would feed families in Chicago like throughout, and Caleb Williams will be like, his development will go through the roof at that point. But yeah. Oh yeah, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so no, I agree. Like, I think we need Ben Johnson. Like, the only way I feel like the Bears could be good, like with all those options, is either Ben Johnson or Bobby Slowick. But I would really prefer Ben Johnson, because I mean, you're seeing what they're doing. Like, the Lions are doing to like so many teams. Like, they blew out the Cowboys, they blew out the Jags. Like, blowing out teams in the NFL is hard to do, and like that Lions offense is crazy. Like, and I feel like the Bears have like a similar team to the Lions. Like, when it comes to like at least like offensive power, I feel like with Ben Johnson's mind, he can really unlock Caleb Williams. And if the Bears want to be a serious franchise, you're gonna have to break the bank and get a coach. I mean, like, it's just how it is. Like, if you want to be a serious franchise and you want like Caleb Williams to develop and become like the star that he's supposed to be, and the reason why the Bears drafted him number 1 overall, like, you're gonna have to break the bank. I feel like it's Ben Johnson or nothing. I really believe that, because I feel like any other franchise could figure it out without Ben Johnson, or like someone like with that great of an offensive mind, but the Bears just can't. And you need the best available. And I'm so tired of the Bears settling for less. We need to go out there and get Ben Johnson. I don't care how the season ends. I want a guarantee that we get Ben Johnson, and this the dream scenario would be Ben Johnson as our coach, and whoever he chooses for offensive coordinator. And then I want Robert Saleh as our defensive coordinator, or maybe Eric Washington. Maybe he can work out. But I want that to be our coaching staff, because, the fans like us, we deserve that. I mean, we spend so much money on this team, and we're just tired of mediocre football. And I feel like, look, again, it's all up to the McCaskies. Like, they have all the power, but you got to take a swing here. You got to go get the best available. I'm tired of the Bears settling for Matt Eberflus, Mark Trestman, Matt Nagy. Like enough's enough. Like, we got to go and get someone else. Like, we got to go get Ben Johnson, because Caleb is too good of a talent to waste, man. I mean, I thought Justin Fields was a really good talent, and we wasted him. Caleb was way better. Like, he is clutch, and we need a coach that's going to unlock him and be clutch and make good decisions. And I think Ben Johnson could be that guy. I mean, I guess the consolation would be Bobby Slowick, because we saw what he did with CJ Stroud, and I feel like the Texans' offense looked a lot worse now because of injuries. I mean, we'll see tonight if Nico Collins makes that offense better. I think he will, because I feel like Nico Collins was really, really big for the Texans, and maybe that's why, the number 1 receiver is Tank Dell. I mean, he's good, but he's not really a number 1. So I think Bobby Slowick could be really good too. If, say, the Bears, don't want to give Ben Johnson the bag and settle for maybe Bobby Slowick, I wouldn't be mad. I don't want Cliff Kingsbury, though. I'll say that. I don't want him, because I see what he did with the Cardinals. I know Kyler got injured that year, but dude, that Cardinals team sucked, and I don't. And there's a stat after October, he becomes trash. I would not be okay with Cliff Kingsbury.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, what about Brian Dable? Because Brian Dable might be fired by the Giants. What do you guys think about Brian Dable potentially?
Wait, dude, I saw that too.
I think the Giants should keep. If I'm the Giants, I'm keeping Brian Dable. Look, the offense looked bad, but Daniel Jones is so trash. I'm being so serious. I've seen so many NFL people say how good Brian Dable's play calling is. I just don't if the Giants are smart, they would keep him. They would actually keep Brian Dable, but I would actually take him. I'm being so serious. I feel like if he has a talent like Caleb Williams, because I saw Brian Dable last year take 2 years ago, take Daniel Jones and win a playoff game with Daniel Jones. And I know they had Saquon, but like that's crazy. Winning a playoff game with Daniel Jones and going like 9-7 with him is crazy. And I've seen him like, make some good play calling. I feel like he's 100 times better coach than Matt Eberflus, so he could be an option. He could be an option.
I think at this point, anyone's better than Matt Eberflus.
Literally.
Like if you've blown this much games, like at this point, you're not even a head coach.
We
at
have
this
the
point.
worst
But
coach in
listen,
the NFL, like by a
Brian
long shot.
Dable. Yeah.
So I just don't see the Giants getting rid of him. I just don't see the Giants getting rid of him, though.
But listen, I didn't see the Giants actually getting rid of Saquon Barkley, and they did. So they kept Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley.
Well,
like
to be fair, the running back market.
No, I get that, but so you're telling me that Daniel Jones was worth keeping?
No.
Yeah, I know you paid him the money, but okay. At the end of the day, like to answer your question about Brian Dable, it's just I would like that personally because Brian Dable, you saw what he did with Josh Allen, like back in his days in Buffalo. Like if he becomes available, I think it would kind of work in a sense because he got fired or like he got let go, meaning that he's a lot cheaper. Like, it's like a prove it year kind of deal, So, if that's the case, like I think Brian Dable was so sick of Daniel Jones, he's like, finally, I have a quarterback that can actually think and process an offense, So, yeah, I mean that would be cool. If he's available,
I think the Giants would be stupid to get rid of him though. Like,
they would be 100%, but the Giants,
like he's good. I like him a lot. Like he's good.
The Bears have done stupid things, but the Giants also like joined them in that category with other.
That's true. That's true.
So
I could see them. I mean, I could see them because maybe they want to like. There's actually a rumor like if the Giants like they might. There's a rumor that like if they get Shedeur, they might get Dion. Like maybe. No, I'll be so serious. Like,
I could see that.
Pick, like it might work, and like
totally
maybe he wants like Shedeur to be like, because like remember Dion has a lot of say where Shedeur goes, and he probably wants like him to go to New York, like a big market or something like that. So, I mean, I could definitely see them getting rid of him and doing the right thing, unlike the Bears, and pairing him with the new coach with a like new quarterback. So. I don't know about his dad. I don't know if his dad's gonna be a good coach, maybe, but like a new coach. I could see the Giants moving off of Dable, but I wouldn't think it's the smartest decision though.
Yeah, that would be insane. Like, I forgot like about the draft, honestly, and like who's even like available and stuff because, this draft is like more. It's more weapons heavy than quarterback. There are good quarterbacks, but it's just like not as what happened last season or last off season. But
I think it's like a 2023 draft. It's like a 2023. It's like the 2023 draft. Like there's like two good prospects, but then like all the other quarterbacks are kind of mid. Like I feel like real quick, I think Cam Ward and maybe Shedeur are like the best ones. Maybe Milroe, I don't know, but I think those two are the best quarterbacks. But then everyone else is like I don't see them going the first round. Maybe like second round. The rest of them, I don't know. I haven't really watched that many college football, but I feel like a lot of those are the two names that I feel like are going around.
Yeah. I mean, to kind of like transition or like to kind of, end the episode on like a high note. Listen, there are a lot of bad things that happened or like near the end of that game and this past season. And listen, we saw a lot of good in that game. I just wanted to kind of like go around and kind of talk about like what our favorite moment was from the Packers game against the Bears because there was a lot of great things to talk about. I feel like the media nowadays is just like all like what happened in that last 30 seconds or last 5 seconds, right? So I guess we can start off with you. Yeah.
Back shoulder throw on 4th and 3, like by far, I think was the best moment of the game. Because that was a special throw by Caleb. Like that's a throw that I feel like he's been off on so far this season. Like he's been pretty inaccurate, honestly, this entire season. Like that's been the only gripe against him. But it's been because of miscommunication half the time. Because like sometimes we've just been missing guys like by 10 or 11 yards, like not even close. But like I think now he's kind of getting the chemistry down with his receivers, especially with Rome Odunze, because him and Rome have been on the same page for like a couple weeks now, and that throw was a very special throw. Like he threw that at the exact right time, good amount of power on that. a good location, and Roma Dunze to come back and, get that over his shoulder was a very fantastic moment. And, every sports show should have been talking about that Monday morning, but unfortunately we lost the game, so nobody's going to talk about that. But I don't want anybody to forget like how good and how clutch Caleb was in that moment. And he made a play that I don't think any other Bears quarterback could have made. Like in that same moment, Fields is throwing a pick, Trubisky is throwing a pick. Like we have not had a quarterback go down the field. Well, Trubisky beat the Packers in 2018 one time, but that was with a good team, and he's had so many other losses against the Packers. So the fact that Caleb in his very first game basically made the game-winning drive against them, especially on the 4th and 3, I thought was pretty special.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the moments that kind of like made me like feel good about myself or feel like, oh, we're in good hands. We were definitely in good hands was when it was like a fourth down play in the red zone, and Caleb was like going to the sideline and was like, no, I am not. We're going to go for it on 4th down right now. We're doing this right now. And then he literally told Eberflus, because they were getting the punt team ready, or the kicking team ready, because why? I mean, Eberflus, you know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is that he stood his ground. He stood on business and was like, listen, we're going to do it. And he converted it. That's the thing. Because in this game alone, we converted like what, 4th downs, or like we converted pretty much all our 4th downs this game, and we're really good on 3rd down too. Like at the end of the day, that just shows you how, like, what if we get a confident Caleb Williams, and who's like, how we saw that bravado back in USC to make those plays, make the superhero plays, and if we can get that on a consistent basis with some, coaching that doesn't sabotage everything that he like put forth or built, like the sky's the limit for this dude. And it just shows you how much he loves his passion for the game and how much he loves football at the end of the day. I guess that was one thing that kind of like small, but like I really enjoyed.
I agree with you guys. I mean, I don't really have like a single play because I think y'all took the best ones actually, but no, I like this game winning drive, like back against the wall. He had to go out there, I think like the 10-yard line or something like that, and go out there and drive down the football field, and again, he made a lot of good throws. He went crazy. He took 2 sacks. I was like, "What, Caleb, what are you doing?" And then 3rd and 19, makes an amazing throw, rolls out to the pocket to his right, throws it to Dunze. I really like that. I like his connection with Dunze. I think it's getting better. And I was kind of mad, like a little bit, like Matt Eberflus took the ball out of his hand, like at the end. I just wish like he let Caleb throw the ball a little bit more, because like at the end, like could have got more yards. That's something Eberflus does, but I really like that. I think Caleb has a lot of promise. 2 game-winning drives, like Joe Cole Gaming said, a lot of good promise with 2. Should be game-winning drives no matter what he did before in the game. I like that the most. Again, I agree with you. The Commanders game, again, I don't put the Commanders game against it because, again, it's coaching malpractice, and you really can't blame Caleb for those 2 games. I think we got a star quarterback. Can we develop him? That's all we can ask for, right? It's a quarterback. Chicago is begging for one and really, really need one. So I feel like I like that. I like how he told Eberflus, like, no, we're trying to win this game. We're not trying to lose. We're not trying to not lose. You know what I'm saying? So I like that chances he's taking. We really need one. I feel like last year, I'll be serious, I'm a big Justin Fields fan. I really am. But I feel like Fields would have let Eberflus kick the field goal. Like I just don't see him like saying to Matt Eberflus, like, no, we're going for a 4th down. Like, I really like that. He's a very good vocal leader, and that's what we need as a quarterback. We need a vocal leader that's going to take those chances, and I really like that. And some people think he's cocky. I don't think he is. I think he's good enough, and I liked it. And I'm excited to see what he does the rest of the season. I don't expect a lot of winning, but if he can be as good as what CJ Stroud was last year, because that's what we expected, or someone close to that, I'll be happy. I don't think it was a W of a season, because again, this is a quarterback development season. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess to kind of wrap things up. I guess since the Vikings is the next game, like, what do you guys think is going to happen in that game? Because I feel like, I don't know. Part of me, listen, I always do this where I always like, we can't win anything. We won't do anything. We suck. The season's a wash. But then time happens, and then I start to like, okay, all right. I think we could possibly win this game, right? We can do it. But I was just thinking, what do you guys think will be the outcome of this? Was it Sunday game, or is
Yeah,
it against the Vikings? Right?
Yeah. Then
yeah,
we got the
Sunday,
Lions on
12 p.m.
Thanksgiving.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
But,
I'll just go first. I'll go
yeah.
first, real
Yeah, you
quick.
can go ahead.
I'll give you my prediction. I think the Vikings beat us 31-17. I think their defense is actually really, really good. I think they're gonna get after Caleb, and there's a chance Tevin plays. Maybe if Tevin plays, maybe our offensive line can hold up. But I just don't see it with Brian Flores' defense. I don't see it, and I don't know. Like, I think our secondary is fine, but I mean, who's guarding Jefferson, man? Like Jefferson, Hawkinson, Addison, and with Kevin O'Connell, I trust Kevin O'Connell over Matt Eberflus. So I'm gonna go with the Vikings, and I'll be happy with that. If Caleb Williams can go throw throw a passing touchdown, please. Like, it's been almost a month and you haven't thrown one. It's whatever. It is what it is. But I want to see Caleb Williams play a better game. I don't think we're gonna win this game, but I think a win would be, like, in our view, and for Bears fans, is like, okay, he went out there, played good against a really good defense in the Vikings, who blitzes a lot. That's what Brian Flores is known for, and had a couple passing touchdowns. Was good in the red zone and stuff like that. Used his legs when he needed to. That I would be happy with. I don't really care what the defense does. I honestly, I hope we lose, because I want a really good offensive tackle. So. And I want Eberflus to be like gone. Like, I don't want us to get some like Mickey wins and then oh, maybe we should keep him. Like, I don't want it to be a discussion. I want him to be gone. So if that means we lose out, so be it. Like, let's lose out.
Yeah. I think I mean, I don't know. I think it's gonna be a little bit closer, maybe, just because I feel like our defense, I don't know, like, maybe I shouldn't trust Eberflus in these situations, but I feel like against Sam Darnold, like, we should be able to force some interceptions potentially. And I think Caleb is gonna have maybe a decent game, maybe not a great game, because like you mentioned, Brian Flores has a fantastic defense and he's gonna throw a bunch of blitzes at Caleb. But last game, Caleb was pretty good against a blitz. So, like, I think Thomas Brown is gonna have a better game plan against a blitz. We're gonna see Caleb's legs be more involved again. Like, maybe Caleb again has 70 rushing yards, 80 rushing yards, which I don't care. Like, if you have to go Justin Fields mode, like, go for it. I'd just move the ball down the field whatever way you can. So I do think Bears lose, though, because we don't have the same talent. Well, not even the talent, but like, our coaching staff is way below the Vikings coaching staff. Like, they have literally 2 head coaches on their roster in Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell, and 2 really good ones too. So yeah, I don't think the Bears are gonna win, but I think it could be closer, and maybe the Bears could pull this one out at the very end. Is this game at home, by the way? Do you guys know?
Yeah,
Or is it
it's
on
at
the
home.
road? Okay,
Is
if
it
it's
home?
gotcha. Okay, if it's at home, then I do think it's gonna be relatively close, but it might be another heartbreaking loss. Like, maybe this time we get stopped at the 1-yard line on the game-winning drive or something. Like, it's gonna be another like heartbreaking loss at the very
Oh my
very
god!
last second, I
I
would
see
say.
that. I see that happen. I cannot. Oh my god! I'd rather
Yeah,
just
I don't
us
know
lose.
what else.
I'd rather us lose. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'd rather us
I
get
get it.
blitzed and blown out, and at that point, like, but
at least I can just
I
turn off
guess
the TV and, like,
Forget about it. Yeah.
like, I don't want
Yeah,
a
they just-
cliffhanger.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll have to side with you both as well. I think we lose as well, because this coaching staff continues, well, at least one side of the coaching staff continues to, sabotage potential and easy wins at that point, where you have 97 or 95+% chance to win. Then it turns into a 0% chance just like that. So I think that it will be a good game for Caleb. I think, like, he has something special with Thomas Brown, and if Thomas Brown has a good, like, play calling game, I think that we'll see a lot of development from Caleb and kind of building off of what he did the previous game. So that's really what I'm really hoping for, because against a great defense like that like Brian Flores' defense have blitzes, it will only test Caleb further on. Like it only helps with his development, and I just hope that he, takes those chances, throws it downfield, throws that deep ball, trying to. If you get interceptions, fine, that's okay. You're learning at the end of the day. And what was the thing I was gonna say? Like the running backs and like with our weapons, as long as we utilize DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, and Roma Dunze, like to a certain degree, like how we did against the Packers, I think that, we could have a chance to make this game competitive, because when we don't use Cole Kmet, bad things only happen and we get blown out by the Patriots. But when we do use Cole Kmet, we keep it close against the Packers and win in London against the Jags. So, you got to utilize those weapons, and you got to expect the defense to come through as well, because interceptions, forced fumbles, turnovers, anything is going to continue us to, have a chance at the end. Hopefully we take that chance and win, but, with this team, it doesn't matter, I guess. But yeah, I guess we lose, but I guess that's about it. We've hit an hour. So thank you again, Rishabh, for joining on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Of course, anytime. And listen, if you guys want to follow Rishabh, I have his link in the description down below. DaWindyCity Productions. He has some great content out there, so be sure to check him out. And yeah, that's gonna do it. Any final comments from you two?
Yeah, I just hope Caleb keeps on performing well. That's the only thing that matters now, like you guys mentioned. Like if Caleb has, anywhere close to 3,500 passing yards, maybe like 15, 16 passing touchdowns, and just like continues developing, that's like all I really care about. But I really hope better days are on the horizon for Bears fans, because we've had to deal with way too much BS lately.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree, man. I'm just praying that we finally got a quarterback. And that's all we could ask for, actually. So hopefully he goes out there this Sunday, plays his game. Hopefully Thomas Brown, is consistent with his play calling, because again, we see Jay Waldron. He had like 2 good games, like the Panthers and the Jags. So, we can't just be all happy about one game. So we need to see more consistency. But if we see that this Sunday and throughout the games, maybe against the Lions and stuff like that, maybe hope is back for the Bears. But right now I see us tanking and losing out. But hopefully Caleb goes out there and plays well.
All right. Well, it's been SoBackSports, and thank you guys so much for checking us out. And be sure every Tuesdays and Thursdays we have episodes coming out. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe as usual. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.